Hey buddies, Mspugger here, coming at you with another Borderlands 3 video. Today we're going to be discussing one of the new vault card legendaries that recently came out called the Mana Well. Now the Mana Well is actually a pretty interesting shield, but overall I personally think it's not going to be used too much. But before we get into it, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into it.
Legendary? Whoa! No way, dude!
So first things first, pretty much what the Mana Well does is that every time you slam, you're going to immediately start draining your shield, and then you'll take 70% less damage, but you'll be able to deal about 150% more shock damage on everything. So this counts with your grenades, your action skill. Pretty much it's a revolter on demand with slam. The only problem with that is that the revolter is known to increase your shock damage up to 200%, while also giving a 50% fire rate. So that's a huge increase to your DPS. What pretty much this thing does, it gives you a defensive property and only about 140, 150 bonus shock damage. That's pretty okay. I would say that it definitely has its uses, to be generous. But if you were to consider the amount of damage it deals compared to Revolter, it's definitely not worth it. So I'm going to shoot right here, and you'll see that my shock damage is capping at 35k. Now, if I were to change to my Revolter, my damage cap is going to instead cap at 76k. Now that's a huge difference, and that can really make a difference, especially if you're fighting bosses or even trying to kill bosses quicker. The big downside to the Mana Well is that despite you reducing the amount of damage you take by 70%, is that you won't actually get the effects for very long, just by the draining of the shield by itself. So if we were to wait and see how long it takes to actually drain, it takes almost about right here 12 to 13 seconds to actually drain all the way, which is, you know, that's a pretty decently long time. The Revolter usually lasts for 15 seconds, or maybe I'm even miscounting and the drain lasts for 15 seconds. But you got to also take into account is if you were to take some damage, you're not going to be able to get the effects as long either, because if you were to take any damage and then your shield gets depleted, you're not going to have your shield up anymore. So if enemies are shooting at you, you're going to lose your bonus as opposed to keeping your bonus for 15 seconds no matter how long you get shot at, or even if you enter fight for your life. So if you're getting shot at, or even something's reducing the amount of shields you have, you're going to significantly lose out on your total damage window after your slam. And plus, I feel like it's a bit clunky to have to slam to actually get your bonus damage out. Sure, it could encourage slam plays, but generally slam isn't really utilized to deal lots of damage, so I don't think it's going to be that great to try to optimize. Now, even if you were to increase your amount of shields with a deathless like I have on my Moze right here, the amount of shield that goes away is based on percentages, so you won't be able to increase your damage window, or should I just say your damage increase buff on slam longer than the 15 seconds that I demonstrated before. One interesting trick that you can do is to equip a Bloodletter with Moze, which allows you to use rushing offensive to gain your shield back. So if there's any way you can gain your shield back while you have this damage window up, you could in theory have this damage increase for 150 bonus shock damage up indefinitely. Of course, you're pretty much going to be running a timer compared to how much shield is going to go away per second. So you really gotta micromanage this damage window really heavily to really optimize it. But you could in theory make a Bloodletter build like I have right here that can just keep the damage window up 100%, which is pretty nice for Moze, especially since the Revolter is arguably one of the harder shields to use as Moze, only due to the fact that Enter Exit Iron Bear is usually considered in the community the worst way to activate the Revolter, and then with Iron Cub, the Iron Cub duration lasts for so long that you won't be able to have the Revolter out there for too long. So Enter Exit Iron Bear is really your best bet to get any Revolter bonuses. So in theory, the Mana Well is actually pretty decent with Moze. You could probably set up a build like I have right here. We could have infinite uptime with the Mana Well, but generally I would say that the Revolter is probably more worth it, especially since you get the increased fire rate. I would love to see the shield get buffed in the future, so we could really have a reason to choose this shield over the Revolter in certain situations. But currently right now, the only reason I would ever run it is to run a gimmicky Mana Well constant bonus increase with Bloodletter Moze, unless there's another shield restore build that I'm not thinking of. But right now, it's definitely a niche shield, and I personally don't think we're going to see too much of it. And it doesn't work as a special multiplier that I'm seeing, so I don't see that it would have any special synergies. And technically there's no health gating for shields, so you wouldn't technically be able to keep your shield up even if you had this Bloodletter combo, only due to the fact that so many bosses and enemies have attacks that bring you down to your health gate limit. So you wouldn't even really be able to keep this uptime unless you were able to never get hit or something. But that's my final verdict with the shield. I think it's very cool. I definitely would love to see it get buffed in the future. If you guys want to see what the other vault card legendaries can do, click on the top right, showcase the other 3 up there. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye-bye.
And the last shall be first to immerse in a pass out heat, facing him out with a moxie melt till he woke up drowning in tchotchke hell. War in a cave with a torch on a wall, then a window arrangement of porcelain dolls.